Hi everyone, welcome to the Conscious Counsel online course. I'm so happy that you're here. As you can tell, we're not in a traditional legal background, being in the rainforest in British Columbia, Canada, and that's because I'm not a traditional lawyer and I don't do things the traditional way. And with that being said, I want to invite you to think about the law differently and how you can bring serenity and peace into the law. So as you can see, I'm not a conventional lawyer and I'm very proud of that. And I think it's important that I share with you my story as being a lawyer and a law student so that you can understand how I got to this point. And by this point, I mean shooting an online course as a lawyer in the middle of the beautiful forest. I will say that there's no better place to be other than the forest, which is the obvious reason why we're here. So I'll just start with law school, and I had a really, really wonderful experience studying in law school. I was surprised to see how competitive it was. And there really wasn't so much of a collaborative spirit in law school, but it very much was each student against each other and not a community sense of let's work together so everyone gets the best results. Highly, highly competitive, everyone's going for jobs. And that was sort of the first thing about the legal system that struck me as being a bit strange, or something that didn't align with who I am and what my values are. And I thought, okay, well, if this is starting from law school, I can't imagine what it's like when you're a lawyer. And then I had the opportunity to article. Article is the Canadian form of internship that you're required to do before you can become a lawyer in Canada. And I interned at an amazing big firm, and I'll never forget, I entered with such optimism and hope about the possibilities and what I could do working with an international law firm and my role in the process. And the first client that I had, you're not going to believe it, was defending a tobacco company. I was going through tons of research. The tobacco company was claiming that people did not know that cigarettes weren't bad for you and that information wasn't in the public. And I was shocked that that's how my legal career had started, and that's the sort of work that I would be doing as a lawyer. And certainly as a law student, I was always passionate about criminal law and justice, and there's so many ideals you have as a law student. And I was quickly brought to the reality check that in private practice or in working for big law firms, it's not always about justice. It's a lot of the time it's about what the client needs and how you can do it. And I worked in an office and I learned a language called robot speak. I called it robot speak. Basically, robot speak is when you have to communicate through corporate methods. You never really say how you feel. I felt so restricted. I would have conversations with superiors or partners at the firm, and I always felt pressure to say the thing that they thought I should say, and I never really said how I felt. And this wasn't the biggest issue. I was very, very grateful for the opportunity, and I have lots of friends at the experience of articling for a big firm. But ultimately, I was going to an office, I was staying in late, I was always going in on weekends, and I wasn't lit up by any of the experience. And after that, I worked at a smaller law firm, which was also a very, very cool experience. But again, I didn't like the way that things were being done there. And when you work for someone else, you're an entrepreneur, so you get this more than anyone else. When you work for someone else, you don't get to decide the terms and the types of relationships you had. And while working for someone else, I had an amazing mentor. I learned such great information. I became such a great lawyer for being there. But there were certain things that I felt were really important for me to build as a lawyer myself. And the first and most important principle when I started my firm, Conscious Counsel, was to be heart leading. And what does heart leading mean? Heart leading means that you make decisions based on how you feel. And to me, that was the most critical aspect of operating a law firm and being a lawyer, because I felt the feeling part of law was missing. And if there's one thing that lawyers are amazing at doing, they're amazing at thinking, and they're not as awesome at feeling. And I can't accentuate that difference enough between thinking and feeling. So in starting Conscious Counsel, the pillars and values that I built the law firm on were being heart leading and always making decisions based on how I felt. And in addition to that, no matter what, communicating openly and honestly. And that's really the way that I've learned about the law and how the law actually operates. So once I started Conscious Counsel, I was out there, I was meeting clients, I was meeting people, and I found myself having the same conversations over and over again with all of these clients and all of these people I was meeting. And it didn't take me too long to realize that everyone was making the same mistakes around the law. And there were a lot of blind spots that were happening to people, or things that they just couldn't see, that to me, sheerly based out of repetition and having so many conversations, I was able to see everyone's making the same mistakes. And even though you might think that at that point I would be upset or distraught or disappointed or having lost faith, actually quite the opposite happened. And I realized it's actually really easy to fix this. If everyone's making the same mistakes and no one knows that these are mistakes, we can just come up with a really simple solution to share information in a fun and interactive way that can empower people to operate their businesses professionally. So in addition to having these conversations and realizing that there were so many challenges, that everyone was making the same mistakes over and over again, I also saw another important theme that was consistent in every conversation I was having, and that was every small business owner needs the law. The reality is, and the reality that I realized at that time is, if you are operating a business and you are planning to grow and expand and use this business to support you in your life, inevitably you will interact with the law. It's going to happen. And I decided that because the law is such an important part of your business, I had to encourage people to be proactive about dealing with the law. How can we do this? One way we can do this, and this is why we're Heart Leading, to shift all of the relationship with the law and legal thinking from the thinking part to the feeling part. And that if I could get people to be feeling positive about the law, feeling powered, feeling proactive, then in turn they would be able to open up and have a different relationship with the law and then not make those same mistakes that everyone is making. Now finally, the reason why this is so important is because you are going to determine what is at stake with your business. When I say what is at stake, I mean, why are you building your business? Why it is important? What community are you trying to create? What difference are you being in the world? And how many thousands of people will you impact by creating your business? And the second that you realize that, your ability to grow and impact and transform and help other people through your business relies on having proper legal agreements, having a basic understanding of the law, and being proactive in dealing with the law, the sooner you will be so eager and excited to learn all this information, because you realize the direct correlation between operating legally and properly and the ability for you to grow your business. You'll see in this lesson we've included an enhancement, and that enhancement is called What is at Stake? And you're going to be prompted to fill out a couple of questions that are going to probe you to think about, okay, what is my business? How is it Heart Leading? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Who is affected by it? And I want you to just sit with that and really think about those answers. You can close your eyes, you can breathe, you can go for a run, you can dream, all of those things. And I want you to realize that in order to get to that point, to grow to that level, to help that many people, you're going to need to interact with the law. And that is awesome. Look at this smile. That's how happy I am. That's how much fun we're going to have. I love the law. I love being a lawyer. I built a Heart Leading law firm because I want to help people like you, and I want to provide you with the value and the information that you need to affect and help all of those people. So once we understand what is at stake, you'll understand the importance of using the law. How is the law used? We're Heart Leading, and all we're doing is communicating expectations openly and honestly. I'm going to say that all course long, because if you take anything out of this course, it's going to be that the law is a series of relationships, and in those relationships, you have to communicate openly and honestly. My name's Corey Sterling from Counsel. I'm so stoked that you're here. We're going to have a great time in the course. An awesome job in completing lesson number 1.